Hi, I'm Reverend Sheila Bouie-Sledge. One of the most fascinating opportunities is to read the Bible about transfiguration. And it's transformation. It's basically a way to change. And we have to change. And many times we don't realize how much Jesus changed. And so the scripture on transfiguration helps us to see that God is a guiding light in our lives and that that's a part of who we are as well as when we make the changes that we do make. And we need to be open and willing and to maintain laws in our lives and control as much as possible. And thank God every evening and every morning for guiding lights that we've received along the way. Well, let's talk about transfiguration. You see, God teaches resurrection in transfiguration. It's taken from the word metamorphoo, which means transfigured, transformed, or change in the form of something. It's a transformation from the inside that revealed itself on the outside. Scripture tells us that Jesus took Peter, James, and John to the mountaintop where they witnessed a transformation which was an inner change with an outward appearance. Jesus' face was like the sun and his clothing was bright. And while Jesus took them to the top of the mountain, it was God who commanded Moses to go to the mountain as well, as you remember when he received the tablets of the Ten Commandments in Exodus chapter 24. The bright lights reminds us of the pillars of clouds and the fires that guided the children of Israel out of Egypt. The clouds guided the Israelites during the day, while the light of the fire guided them on their path at night. The Lord our God appears in these guiding lights as God who is with us wherever we go. We're on a life journey. Clouds and fires represent the presence of God in front of us. Never be afraid of the light. Transfiguration of Jesus is seen as a divine light that emanated from his body, a bright light in his face and his garment, a vision that the disciples witnessed because they needed to see what they would not be able to understand in words. Jesus knew they would not be able to comprehend resurrection. So he provided them with the most unforgettable visual teaching method. Seeing is believing. A picture is worth 1,000 words. The hardest lesson to learn in life is to stay and to believe. As humans, we believe what we see and not what others see for us. Jesus knew that coming event, and he knew the suffering and the death and the resurrection would come. And he wanted the good news to be on the tip of their tongues and not them wrestling with what they just saw. So he gave them the message. There the disciples saw Jesus' face and clothing shine bright while talking to Moses and Elijah. Jesus was talking to them about his death, which would come soon. Peter didn't know what was really going on, so he actually offered to build them each a shrine. But that's not what it was all about. God's voice was heard saying, "This is my son whom I am dearly, belovedly pleased with." And the disciples fell to the ground and hid their faces until Jesus told them to fear not. When they opened their eyes, Jesus was standing there alone. Both Moses and Elijah were not there any longer. And he said, "You know what? God has revealed an anointed. Let's move forward." God, our Creator, understands everything about us and therefore knows how to teach us and guide us. And that's exactly what he did with the Israelites. That's what he did with the disciples. That's what he's doing with us. Today, he's using a teaching method that you can see and hear, and therefore you can confront arguments and false teachers and sin in your life. The belief that God is always coming back is so strong with both Peter and the other disciples, and with you too, because his majesty is strong and he is about the first person in your life. And he gives you witnesses that you can use to understand the transfiguration and how you must change too. They heard God give honor to his Son and saw glory in the brightness of Jesus' face. Won't you see that today? To understand and identify with the Messiah of Israel? God used Moses and Elijah as backdrops so that Jesus would be seen as the one and the only one. For they represented the Old Testament, and Jesus is the New Testament, the absolute authority. Have a great day.